Crafty friends, it's Rick. I'm back for another video. Today we are going to shake things up and make a fun springtime shaker card using products from Pixi Dust Designs. Today we're going to use the shaker strawberry dies. We're going to use just the big strawberries, but there's tons of dies in this set. You can make small strawberries. There's a sentiment. We're going to use the big one today. We're going to use the Kawaii Faces Dies to add a little fun to it. We're also going to use the doily die set, and I'm using the Happy Easter 6x6 paper pad. So I'm going to go through and pick out my pattern paper that I'm going to use. I'm going to use the pink, I don't know what that's called. The pink pattern, the bunny pattern for the background, and then I'm going to use the pink, the green polka dot for the dies. I'm also using the strawberry jam shake or strawberry shortcake shaker mix, I believe, or it was the strawberry jam. One of those. I showed you both of them, but I'm gonna go ahead and cut out the base pieces for all my shaker elements. So I'm cutting out the top and two tops of the strawberries, or the bottom of the strawberries, and the two top pieces. Also, I'm going to cut out the seeds. I'm using some gold foil cardstock for that. So I'm going to go ahead and run everything through the die cutting machine, and I'm going to try to get as much on here at one time as possible to make it easier and quicker. So that's one tip right there. If you're going to cut everything, try to cut everything out as much as possible at one time. That way it'll save you a little bit of time while you're creating these fun little shaker cards. So we're going to go ahead and cut that out. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut the strawberry front piece out again, the base piece. I'm going to cut it from white cardstock. I cut it like 8 times from some just heavy cardstock and stacked them together. I'm going to go ahead and cut the shaker window from some recycled packaging. So I'm going to go ahead and run that through a couple times. And then I can take that out. And I have pieces that I don't need. So I'll just take the one I need and I'll save the others for later. Now, I'm going to go ahead and layer up the shaker window first. So I'm going to add adhesive to the base of my shaker element. I did this instead of having to use foam tape. That way I could just stack it up and get it as thick as I wanted and didn't have to worry about any foam tape. So I'm going to go ahead and press that window sheet into place, or the recycled packaging, the clear packaging from our stamp set. And then I'll go ahead and add the top layer on top of it. Now this will take a little bit longer to dry because it is on that plastic. So I'll take and set it to the side and set something heavy on it for a little while. And then I'm also going to go ahead and add the Kawaii faces to the shaker window. I cut the eyes out and did all that off screen, the black layer and the white layers. And then I also cut the little mouth and I added the pink layer inside of that. So I'm just going to take and add the outline of the mouth first. And I'm just going to get it right there and place it right onto place. Move it around just a little. Don't move it around too much because you will get glue everywhere. I may have done that. So we'll go ahead and put the mouth in, the little pink mouth. And then I'm going to go ahead and add the seeds to the strawberry on here as well, because this will take a little bit more time because we are using on that window sheet. So that does take a little bit more time. So we're going to go ahead and pop those on, and I'm just going to sprinkle them all the way around the front of the shaker window. And that way we have all of our little strawberries all nice and decorated up. So we'll go ahead and finish doing all that. And we'll add a few more. And yes, I did cut that from gold foil cardstock so that it had a little bit more shine. Sometimes with that recycled packaging, you don't have enough, it has a little too much give, so you have to kind of add a little bit more glue. So I put something on the heavy. I went ahead and cut my doilies out from just some white cardstock. And I'm going to add a little bit color through them by ink blending around the edges. I chose a pink, a muted green, and a brighter yellow-green ink color for these. And so I'm just going to ink blend around that and start heavier in the outside and get lighter towards the center. I think these are fabulous dies. They did so much to the card, and I'm so glad I used them. So if you're looking for something a little bit different, go ahead and pick these up. And doilies seem to be really hot right now, so it's a good thing to have in your stash. Now, I just used a medium green for this, so I'm going to come around and use the ink blend around that as well, just using a blending tool. And I did let it get lighter towards the center. And then that little bitty one, I went ahead and did that with the yellow-green color. And I'm going to add a little bit of green to ink to my pattern paper to add just a little bit more interest on the stem of the strawberry. So we're going to add that. This does take a little bit longer to dry because it's got a little bit of a coating to it. So it did take it just a little bit longer. So I just ink blended on that, set it to the side, and then I could just, once it got done, I could put it all together. So I set everything to the side. I'm going to go ahead and work on my card base. Actually, we're going to go ahead and layer up the strawberry. Now, when I first looked at this, I was going to put it the wrong direction. And then I figured out that it does not go on like a mustache. It goes on right there. It's just a layer on top of that strawberry stem. So there's that. And I will go ahead and press that into place. All right, now I'm going to pull in all the parts and pieces for the rest of the card. So I'm going to take this little 1/2 inch strip of the pattern paper, and I'm going to add that to the inside panel of my A2 top folding card base, as it just gives an easy way to add a little decoration. I'll cut off any excess just like that. And then I can flip it over and I can add that, make sure the crease is good, and I'll add the same pattern paper to the front. You could easily flip it over and done the other side. I didn't think about it at the time, so I wanted the rainbow bunnies anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to go ahead and start trying to lay out my doilies to try to get them where I want them. It did take me a little bit. I did use the big one right off the bat. That was easy. That's going to be my focal image for my strawberry shaker element. So we're just going to add liquid glue behind that. And again, I cannot rave about these doily dies as much as I need to, because they are absolutely fabulous and added so much to the card. You can use them to take it to a vintage look or more classic look. It's all up to you and how you add them to your card. All right, we're going to go ahead and add our strawberry element. We're going to add our base of our shaker. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that down where I want it to be on the doily. And then I will add a few of our Strawberry Is My Jam shaker bits. And I just sprinkled some of those in the middle and then flattened them out so that it was all one layer. That way it keeps any bulk down. The shaker and everything moves around really easily. So I'm going to go ahead and just sprinkle those around. And then I will add glue to my shaker top, which I've got all stacked up and ready to go. So you got to be super careful here, because I did have to go back and redo this because I got shaker bits everywhere. So after I set that on there and got it on there right, I went ahead and put a block on it, let that dry. And I'm going to add foam tape behind my top of my strawberry, because it is a little bit, with all that extra dimension, it's a little shorter than where it would normally be. So I'm going to double stack my foam tape. That way it will be nice and level. And I'll do the same thing to the stem as well. So we're just going to add some foam tape behind it. And add another little piece right there. And I just cut everything down to size. And then I can take and pop that right on top of where my shaker element is going to go. And we will pull those backings off. And I will add just a little bit of liquid glue before I attach it. That way it gives me a little wiggle room, so I know that everything's in the same place. I did add liquid glue right under the part that's going to stick to the top of the shaker element. That way everything will be nice and secure. And now we're going to come in and I'm going to add my sentiment that says, I love you. And at the bottom, it's going to say very much. So I've cut all that from black cardstock, and I'm going to put it. It took me a little while to figure out placement for this, because I had several options I could go with. But I wanted to kind of give it a little bit of an arch at the top and kind of more straight at the bottom. So that's why I kind of went that way. So I put the I love you right here. And I'm going to move the U to the other side. In just a second, we're going to continue adding our little letters. And reverse tweezers are a godsend for this type of thing. So that or a pickup tool. But I like to use my reverse tweezers. That way it gives me enough time that I can move everything around and I don't have to fiddle with holding that with my big old fingers. So I went ahead and I was going to put the U right there, and I decided I didn't like it. So I'm just kind of sitting there right now until I get the very much on. So I'm going to go ahead and then I'm going to move these out of the way. And I will take and add this little bitty doily up there to kind of hold, to hide that glue that I had on that U. And then I'm going to take and move the U to the other side because I liked it a lot better. It just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it. So I had to move it around. Sometimes we have to do things like that. But it's a super simple shaker card to make. The Pixi Dust Designs Dies makes it super easy to have everything that you need to assemble and put everything together, and you get tons in your die sets. So I'm going to try to figure out a placement for this one, and I'm going to come at the bottom left-hand corner and kind of in a diagonal, but I'm going to use those other pieces. Don't think I'm not. All right, I'm going to attach that dually in, and I'm going to trim off the excess. But I'm going to cut it straight across. That way I can use those little bitty pieces and kind of sprinkle them around the rest of the card so that I can get more use from that one die cut and make the background look a little bit more full. So I'm going to take and add this one up in the top. I was going to add it over there. Couldn't decide if I wanted it right there or right here. So I cut it right there, and then I'm going to cut that off in just a minute. And then I can use that little bitty piece somewhere else that I cut off. This one I've decided I'm going to put over on the right-hand side in that where I started to put the first one, which is right there, and just kind of help bring that color around the card so that we have it kind of poking around everywhere else. Now that little bitty piece that I just cut off, I'm going to put right up there at the top of the I love you, or I love, and I'm going to cut off the excess. Just a little bit. It's going to be up there, so no biggie. I just lined it up where there was nothing showing and just trimmed that off. So just like that. Now that one die cut went into 4 different places, and it looks like you spent a lot of time doing all those die cutting. So that's something else you can do. Now I'm going to take the mutch, and I'm going to put that down at the bottom. And then there's that. And I'm going to sprinkle around a few of the strawberries from the Strawberry is my jam shaker bits. I had to look the name up again. I'm going to put some around my sentiment down here. And I'm going to put 3 on the bottom right, 2 on the bottom top left of the sentiment. And then I decided it needed just a little bit more because I can't leave well enough alone. So we're going to pop in some between each of the words up at the top of the sentiment to kind of act as little spacers. So there we have it. I got that on there. And there is a look at my card. There's a shake. See, you can shake around. And here's a look at the inside. And it's a closer look. And I will see you over in the next video. Right up there. Stay crafty. Love you. Bye.